Greetings, loyal viewers, and welcome back to Gargantua's Insta Thoughts. And for this video, we're going to be talking about War for the Planet of the Apes.
I did not start this war. But I will finish it.
Boy, I don't even know where to start with this one because there is a lot to talk about with this movie. Well, I guess I should start by saying if you already want a good idea of how good this movie is, or how I would basically describe how any good of an experience it is seeing a movie, when I, even at the biggest time, had to go use the bathroom, I didn't. I fought it with every will I had because I was not going to miss a second of this because it was just that engaging. It was just that engaging. I really, really wanted to see what was going to happen. Especially since, and yes, obviously I have seen the last two entries. I've seen Rise and Dawn. And speaking of which, and that's actually a very nice, subtle little way of recapping the last two films is when they have quick little plot summaries at the very beginning of the movie, and they would have the words as part of the titles, not only in the sentence, but as the sentence would fade, it would hold on to those words, and I just thought even that alone was kind of a neat little idea of recapping the series. But in continuing from that, oh boy, one of the more obvious things you could probably tell from watching the trailer is that the effects in this movie, especially even compared to, especially compared to the first one, I even kind of forgot at halfway through that these monkeys were CGI mocap creatures, especially with Caesar, because, I know Andy Serkis is, the master of mocap, but, damn, this is probably his best work thus far. I totally believed he was even there. I mean, don't get me wrong, the CGI on the apes was really good in the last two movies, particularly with Dawn. With Rise, yeah, they were good, but there were still times when I was still sort of convinced that these were CGI animals. And that was more from the distant motion shots that they would often do, especially near the end of the movie. But here, it works a lot better. And speaking of the characters, oh my god. The way that they continue this, I kind of get the feeling that this part of the reboot series is mostly telling, and in this movie's case is wrapping up Caesar's story arc and how the Planet of the Apes was set up, which I kind of already got that, obviously, from the beginning. But oh boy, without giving too much away, the way they end his story arc, the way they end his journey, well, I wouldn't say journey, but more like, I can't really think of the word right now, but it was, let's just say, like with a lot of this movie, it is an emotional kick to your tenders. I'm usually not a very easy person to even choke up these days, or let alone bring a tear running down to my eye. Newer films especially have to try especially hard to make me do that. And I think the ending to this film actually ended up doing that, and at the last few minutes, no less. That should just go to show how emotionally impactful this movie is. But it isn't just about the emotion. The action stuff in this movie, whether it be the slow, suspenseful moments and without giving too much away, with the moments of the apes scouting, like with Caesar, and when they're trying to escape the humans. And I won't give away too much about that either. I'm sorry. That's part of the point of the Insta Thoughts, is to describe how I feel, but don't want to give too much away because, well, I don't want to spoil the fun for a lot of people. But needless to say, the action, whether it be slow, suspenseful, or just explosions, and like, this is a film that goes to show you that explosions in a movie, despite how much friggin' Michael Bay exploits these explosions to the point where they become dull, films like this remind me why I like seeing explosions, because not only are they used very sparingly like they are in the previous films, but it still feels like a big fiery ball of excitement, but also, in this movie's case, not self-accomplishment, but some kind of accomplishment. Like, it's kind of hard to explain. You'd have to see the movie to know what I'm talking about. But yeah, I really do like the new direction that this movie goes, as well as really going even deeper into depth how much the virus has been affecting the human race, and how we clearly see it's something that's inevitably going to affect all humans no matter how hard they try to fight it. And the way they fight it in this movie especially, holy crap. Like, it is a special kind of dark. Oh boy. But there's a lot of dark moments, like the way they off the soldiers who are being infected with the virus. So just be prepared for both going like, oh my god, and getting your tenders emotionally castrated, because there is a lot of emotional moments in this film, like I mentioned before, and including many sad ways in which they wrap up his story arc. So, in case you couldn't tell, I love this movie. It's definitely the perfect ending to Caesar's story arc, because I hear that they're going to continue this till they get to the point of the original movie, which would be nice. So, final verdict, for the first time on Gargantuous Insta Thoughts, I would say this is a must-see. There's just one little catch there. Excuse me. I would highly advise you, even though they do recap it a little bit, I would still highly advise that you watch the previous films first if you haven't. And yeah. And have a good time. I guarantee you will feel very different, both about how Planet of the Apes feels. Well, I should say this still definitely captures a lot of the intelligence and emotion of the original classic, but it's still taking it in its own way, especially with how they set up the Planet of the Apes to begin with. So, there's that. So, well, that's about all the time we got. If you liked the video, go ahead and comment, like, and or subscribe. And if you have any other suggestions, leave some in the comment section below. And be sure to check out my Patreon account if you have the time. And as always, I'm King Gargantuous. And if you excuse me, I'm going to go watch something more happy and lighthearted to offset this emotional kick to my tenders.